Elena has just become a vampire. This makes her act like she's drunk, to the point where she can't remember Stefan. She also forgets the dark force that killed her, which stretches out the villain revelation for another 200 pages. Now I'm starting to think vampire powers in this series don't follow any logic besides for what's most convenient to the author at this point in time.
Argo Font Book Review, Argo Font Book Review.
Stefan gets angsty over the fact that Elena is a vampire, and he also gets angsty because Elena remembers Damon, not him. She remembers she loves Damon, and does she? Yeah, she thinks he's hot, but has she ever felt anything towards him that's even close to affection? No, she hasn't. Anyway, Elena needs to drink blood to get her head cleared. Matt is sort of a fool who will do anything Elena wants, even though she dumped him for no reason, so he willingly lets her feed on him. At the end of the previous book, Stefan needed a vampire power-up, so he attacked Tyler and his football buddies. Stefan returns to them and uses his psychic powers to erase their memories. I'm kind of surprised he doesn't use this trick all the time. It would make his life a lot easier. Elena wanders back towards her home because she wants to get her diary. Damon tells her she can't go inside because she hasn't been invited. So invite her, Damon. According to the rules, she has to be invited by someone. You could easily say, "Hey, Elena, go right in." Also, Damon could easily go inside himself since invitations last forever. Anyway, since Elena can't go inside her own house, Damon takes her to Alaric's attic. Why doesn't she need an invitation to enter Alaric's house? She can enter his house, but not her own? What is going on here? Elena sleeps for 4 days straight. When she wakes up, she overhears Alaric talking to the principal. He thinks Elena is in the woods, hiding with the others. He says she'll probably try to contact her friends next. That's what usually happens. Clearly, Alaric is some kind of vampire hunter. He must not be a very good vampire hunter, since the vampire he's looking for has been in his house all week long. Elena's memories return as she reads her diary, and she goes to the church to watch her funeral from the choir loft. Again, how is she able to get inside a building without an invitation? At the funeral, everyone gives beautiful eulogies for Elena, which bear little resemblance to her queen jerk personality. Meredith cleverly hides a puzzle in her eulogy. She talks about their debate teamwork, but she purposely gets the location and dates wrong. That way, Elena will know to show up at the right spot on the right day. Damon and Stefan show up. They note there's a giant group of dogs outside. The dogs are sitting in place. As soon as the funeral ends and people leave, the dogs attack. Stefan tries to help save people from the wild dogs, while Damon stands around and does nothing. Elena begs him to help, but he doesn't want to because he doesn't care about other people. Again, I'm not seeing how Damon is a viable love interest for Elena. He's a total jerk. Our heroes talk. They realize the unknown culprit is controlling the dogs. The unknown culprit is also the one who trapped Stefan in a well, the one who's controlling Vicky. Basically, the culprit did all the bad stuff in the last 2 books, except for killing Mr. Tanner. That was Damon. He did kill Mr. Tanner. Elena says the 3 of them should stick together to stop the culprit. Damon thinks this means Elena secretly loves him. She still wants to be around me, so he rubs it in Stefan's face. Elena meets with Meredith and Bonnie at the appointed time. She recaps the entire series for the sake of any new readers, and they make a list of suspects to investigate. Spoiler alert, the investigations are a waste of time. Aunt Judith's fiancé becomes a fake-out suspect. After he leaves the house, the family cat tries to attack Margaret. Elena saves her just in time. There is a surprisingly touching scene where Elena tells Margaret she's going to protect her, like her own personal guardian angel. Alaric invites the girls to a private party at his house. He's a creepy teacher! Meredith talks to Alaric in secret. Stefan sees their secret meeting, but he decides not to tell anyone about it because Stefan is an idiot. They go to Alaric's party. The vampires are hiding in his attic. Meredith brings Alaric to meet them, and she does it in the most suspicious way possible. That is, she doesn't tell her friends Alaric's coming. He pulls out a gun full of wooden bullets and aims it at them. It's a really bad first impression. Well, it turns out Alaric is not a vampire hunter. He's an experimental psychologist who specializes in vampire victims. He was brought here to help stop the vampire outbreak. Meredith knows him because her grandfather was attacked by a vampire decades ago and Alaric visited him once. This is very interesting, but isn't there a party going on downstairs? Has no one else noticed that Alaric disappeared with half the guests? Alaric used hypnosis on Carolyn to bring back her memories. She thought she remembered seeing Stefan attack Tyler. So Carolyn's dad and several of the other parents set a trap for Stefan. They attempt to kill him. Everybody rushes to school, and they save Stefan in time. At a school dance, they ask Bonnie to use her psychic powers. She leads them to the cemetery, where they open up the casket of Honoria Fell, the town's founder. The casket hides a hidden passageway leading to an underground crypt. Honoria's ghost appears. She explains that she's a witch, and she tells them the culprit has been using this place as a hideout. Now they know where the culprit's lair is, and Honoria goes away forever. Thank you, helpful ghost! The culprit plans to kill everyone in town with their army of wild animals. The human characters rush to the dance to protect everyone, and for the rest of the book they'll barricade themselves inside and try to keep the animals at bay with fire. The vampires stay here. The culprit shows up in tiger form. There's a fight, but the culprit knocks them all unconscious. The culprit is revealed to be Katherine! You know, the one who turned Stefan and Damon into vampires 500 years ago? It turns out she faked her own death. Katherine is rather childish. She giggles at her evil schemes and throws a temper tantrum because they didn't do what she wanted. Katherine explains all of her schemes. She gives Damon a chance to join her because he's just as evil as she is, but he refuses. Katherine knocks them out, and then she leaves for some reason. She must be gone for at least 6 hours because when she comes back, the sun is starting to rise. Elena can now use her psychic powers to communicate with Stefan without talking aloud. Again, I think these vampire powers depend more on plot convenience than logic. Katherine wonders, how is she going to kill them? Elena breaks free of her ropes and tackles Katherine into the light. She rips Katherine's necklace off. Katherine dies instantly. But Elena is the main character, so she lives a few minutes longer. That way she can say her final goodbyes to Stefan. The vampires leave town, Alaric and Meredith become a couple, and Bonnie donates Elena's diaries to the library, so people will always know how she sacrificed herself to save everyone. And now that every storyline has been resolved, I am totally confused as to what's going to happen in the 4th book. The end. Post-book follow-up. The love triangle continues in this book. Why? It's not a good love triangle. Not from either angle. Stefan and Elena are engaged, but they rarely interact with each other. He should have been much more involved in helping her adjust to her new vampire life, but instead he's just kind of gone. Damon is a better person in this book than the last two. He gets a minor redemption because we learn he wasn't the one who attacked Vicky, and he's not the one who left Stefan for dead. That's good for Damon, but he still murdered Mr. Tanner and tried to kill Stefan. The attempt at making Damon more of a hero doesn't work because he's still a murdering villain who refuses to help innocent people. And the next book is more of a anti-hero. Here he is such a bad guy, it's still a tad surprising when he doesn't join forces with Katherine at the end. The revelation of Katherine as the culprit was well done, or at least it was done much better than the revelation of Alaric as a vampire hunter. I wish Katherine was a more intimidating villain. She comes off as a bratty child. It's possible to have an evil villain act childishly, but it doesn't really work here, not when the villain is a 500-year-old mastermind. My favorite part of the book was the subplot about Elena's sister and aunt. I found that to be more genuinely emotional than Elena's relationship with Stefan. Aunt Judith is so torn up by Elena's death, she cancels her engagement to her fiancé. Elena almost talks to Aunt Judith at one point. I wish she had talked to her! Or at least, communicated to her aunt via a letter, just pretend the letter was written before her death. That would have been great. Overall, this is a good, if predictable, resolution to the series. The love triangle continues, there are surprises plot twists, and Elena stops being a jerk long enough to die a hero. I didn't like how the vampire powers changed to suit the author's convenience, especially in regards to the fact that the vampires only get invitations to enter places about half the time in this book. I give Vampire Diaries number 3, The Fury, a 6 out of 10.